Hello and welcome back to Aetheral Space 8.12, The Face of God. We are back.
Which is the most hardcore name ever. I hope this chapter better deliver. In 7 pages, you better have written something as good as the entirety of Arc 6, just so you know.
I did. And it's going to begin with this. You're deaf.
No! Oh my god. Tanhony, if you were an Aetheral Space character, what would your Aether ability be?
My Aether ability, it would be to make sinister cubes. I don't know what they would do, but they would float around me sinisterly. And everyone would look at the cubes what the hell do these cubes do?
That would actually be an interesting, an Aether ability solely built on, intimidation or fear, but, the secret is it doesn't really do anything, it's just incredibly scary and menacing.
But then when I was figuring, your cubes don't have any special ability, I reveal I control the cubes and just, slam it into his head at, 1,000,000 miles per hour.
They're just dark cubes that slowly float around that you can move, and you're you better not let one touch you. And because they're so slow, people are oh, if they touch it, it must be devastating.
But the secret is that I'm just making them slow.
yeah, and then you can slam them into their head really fast. Yeah.
That one bit from fucking X-Men 2, where it has a little bit all of metal.
Oh my god! All right, you ready for this?
Hell yes, I'm ready for this.
Right, my fart didn't come through on the mic, did it?
No, no one would have known about it.
Okay, damn. Whoopsie. Dust spilled from the ceiling as the building shook. As Marsh marched towards the quarantine cell, one of the younger guards accompanying him looked up nervously. "Sir," he questioned, voice cracking, "are we under attack? Shouldn't we respond?" "There are automatics for that," March responded gruffly. "We have our orders. Take the specimen for analysis." "But—" Marsh paused, turning on his heel to face the younger soldier, planting a firm hand on his shoulder. "You questioning me, Hendrik?" His voice was dangerously low. There's so much dangerously low this arc. This dude loves being dangerously low. Like it was crawling out
dangerously high.
Dangerously down bad. Hendrik's red face turned pale, and he shook his head. "No, sir. The automatics will handle it, as you say." March patted his shoulder heavily and turned back to the quarantine cell. His eyes narrowed as they made contact with Dragon's, and a cruel smirk tugged at his... "Angry person," mumbled Pan, curled up on the bench, her head resting against the cold metal. "Person that's angry." Just from a glance, Dragon could tell he wasn't in for a fun experience here. He could very much see the word dissection coming up in his future. Would North be able to bail him out of this? Hell, was he even still here? He seemed pretty eager to recruit Dragon to whatever cause he had going on, but maybe he'd made a run for it when that explosion had gone off. No, he couldn't depend on North. What then? Dragon bit his lip, pondering the possibilities as the security squad approached. With this Neverwire wrapped around his wrists, he couldn't use his Aether. He'd gotten better with hand-to-hand since joining up with Skipper, but without his Aether, he had no illusions on being able to fight off a trained security squad. I assume that on should be an of. No illusions of being able to fight off.
Oh, yeah.
Besides, chances were they could use Aether. "What then?" the Archivist asked, slouched down on the bench as well. "You just let them take you? Good way to get yourself cut open." Pan's eyes widened, and her mouth formed a perfect circle as she looked at the new arrival. Didn't Archivist talk to her before?
Well, he was there, he was all fucked up.
Yeah.
He never interacted.
Two dead boys? Dragon groaned as he put his head in his hands. It really truly was getting crowded in there. One of the security guards wrapped her fist.
Rent-free.
No, sorry, I had a dumb thought. It doesn't even, it's not relevant, but, when you mentioned getting crowded, just, a third random homeless dude walking in, hey, do you guys have milk?
It's what are you doing, manifestation of your desire for milk?
Yeah! Oh my god. One of the security guards wrapped her fist against the glass wall. "On your feet! Don't make us drag you out!" Her eyes were covered by shades, but Dragon could see from the marks on her knuckles that she was no stranger to violence. A punch in the gut would be the most likely future if he didn't comply, at least for the moment. His joints cracking, Dragon rose to his feet. "There you go," the Archivist... Oh, that's the Archivist. "There you go," the Archivist sighed, rolling his eyes. "Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Please don't hit me, ma'am. Maybe if you're lucky, you can lick their boots next." Pan frowned. "Why is Dead Boy so mean to Dead Boy? Just be nice, fucko." I can't believe you stole fucko, my thing, for Pan. That's so fucked up.
Shut the fuck up.
The Jesus Christ.
Hostile.
What the?
Sorry,
Oh my
I'm
God.
infected by Panacea.
The archivist cast a harsh side-eye at the mushroom girl. "We're compromised," he snarled. "We need to get rid of this thing soon as possible. You understand? Dead boy is me." The glass wall slid open, and the guards kept their rifles trained on Dragon. "Hands on your head," the shaded woman said, "and turn around. No funny business." Dragon complied, swallowing as he turned away from the guards. The archivist raised an irritated eyebrow as they came face to face. Ugh, his inner monologue was becoming awfully uppity lately. "You only have yourself to blame," the kid muttered. Dragon stood there for an awfully long time, hands on his head, waiting for rough hands to grab him from behind. He had no illusions that this would be a comfortable trip, but no hands came. No gloves seized him. There was only quiet in his own breathing, and the slow drop of liquid. In the distance there was another rumble. Slowly, his brow furrowed, Dragon turned around and saw bodies scattered before him. The young guard stared up at the ceiling, his stomach utterly ravaged and open to the elements. The woman with the shades lay in a heap next to him, her throat cut so thoroughly her head was only attached by stray strings of sinew. The rest were similarly butchered, knife wounds covering their ravaged forms. The only one still standing was Marsh, and he just quietly stared at Dragon, blood-drenched knife clutched in his hand. What? What? Wait, is this Dragon speaking, this last part?
This is Marsh speaking.
"Who are you?" He spoke softly, with a voice not his own. My God, what is going on? For the first time since Marie had met him, Titan Hesiah seemed panicked. Wait, did Pan attack on his behalf? Did she Panacea defend him?
Well, Marsh is holding the knife, so...
Wait, what? Then what's going on?
Perhaps we'll find out.
For the first time since Marie had met him, Titan Hesiah seemed panicked. Countless arms, like the branches of a tree, arranged in numerous holographic screens around him, each displaying the view from a security camera. On one, a hole had been visibly blasted into the outer wall of the building, concrete and steel spilling out into a hallway. The number in the corner of the screen indicated this was the 20th floor, 10 floors below them and 19 above the 10 floors below them and 19 above the refugee area. A second showed a view of 3 heavily armored figures, armed with hulking heavy weapons. Already a trail of wrecked security automatics were laid out behind them. Those things had been huge, 2 heads taller than the tallest man, and those soldiers had blasted them apart like they were nothing. They were heading up. "Damnation!" Hesiah hissed, eyes sprouting over his head to keep all the screens in view. "It's the Dead Hand! Those disloyal, impudent pests! They're here for my infants, my children!" Another hand went to his communicator. "Marsh! Marsh! Intercept their approach immediately! Answer me, damn you!" Marie's eyes flicked to the screen as the leader of the 3 figures kicked a hole right through the chest of another automatic. She frowned. They were pretty good, but tearing steel apart wasn't that impressive for someone like her. "You're scared of these people?" she asked, raising an eyebrow, only to cut the sass and take a step back when Hesiah turned a rage-filled expression towards her. "Dispatching them would be simplicity itself!" He spat, fingers clicking in the air, "but without exposing my nature? No. For regenerators, shredding is the best way, and I could hardly shred with this mundane form. We are not yet ready to be exposed." Marie crossed her arms as the light above the far door turned green. "Well, if you don't want to be exposed, I'd turn back now. He's here." It took only a second for Hesiah's many arms to coalesce, for his many eyes to sink into his skin, for his many mouths to shut and seal. His suit shifted with his form, and it occurred to Marie that it must actually be part of his body. Ew. Wait, what? They can do that?
Well,
I don't think beyond the realm of biology, just made his skin textiles?
Yeah. Well, it looks
Or
like
is it
textiles.
like body paint? Oh, he's just naked? Dude's got his dick out? Oh, that's gross. A moment after he returned to normal, the door slid open, and a toy Muzazi marched into the room. One hand was on the hilt of his sheathed sword, but a relieved smile crossed his lips as he saw Marie. "Ah, Officer Hazard," he nodded. "It's pleasing to see you are well." The way he tried to conceal his excitement was fairly adorable, but the seriousness on his face as he turned to Hesiah was completely genuine. His nod was far more respectful, too. "It's an honor to meet an esteemed businessman such as yourself, sir," the toy said. "I appreciate your assistance in resolving that dispute with security. Officer Hazard, has your Aether ability fully healed you yet?" Nice cover story, a toy, if a bit unnecessary. I love a toy so much! Oh, my heart! Okay, shove those emotions down. Let's go. All a toy knew was that the CEO of Exocorp had vouched for him, gotten him out of that security cell. He didn't know that Hisaya had intended on having him killed for his experiments initially. Best not to mention that. Doubtless he'd just assumed Hisaya was some kind of supremacy sympathizer instead. It's good to see the supremacy has friends this far out. Musashi smiled. Bingo. His smile faded as he caught a glance at one of the holographic screens still floating in the air. The intruder had just ripped the head off another security automatic, throwing it into the wall with such strength that it left a visible crater. The building's under attack? He asked urgently, rushing forward to look at the screen. I felt a shaking when the elevator was bringing me up. An explosion? Isaiah cleared his throat, one hand behind his back. It would seem so. From what I understand, some of the repurposed have maintained some residual intelligence. Marie glanced at the 4 vats that contained the end font. The glass on them had tinted black, concealing their occupants from view, and Marie had no doubt there was some kind of soundproofing, too. A toy narrowed his eyes as he inspected the monitors. They're on their way up here, correct? That's what I'm seeing here? Saya nodded grimly, taking a step forward to him. Their tales of special officers told far and wide. Their unparalleled valor, their unrivaled skill. Even out here, as you say. Could I trouble you to... Of course. Atoy Musashi unsheathed his sword, the blade emerging with a shower of sparks as he turned back towards the door. And as he did, Marie saw it. She saw Hisaya's face, in that single moment, looking at Atoy. It was hateful, creased beyond human... Oh my god. I'm just imagining one of those, like... You know that Ren and Stimpy clip where the dude's face is, like, super, like, hyper-realistic?
Yeah, that is the hyper-realistic shot.
Yeah. Creased beyond human shape. Eyes recessed so deep they were like demonic tunnels. His teeth were bared like the brickwork of a wall. Lips pulled back so far the bones of his jawline were clearly visible. For a horrible, horrible second, Marie thought the man might just leap upon Atoy and tear him apart there and then. Officer Hazard? Atoy asked. The moment passed, and when Marie looked at Hisaya's face again, it was as human as they came. He smiled softly. What the fuck is this deal? Dude, all Atoy did was offer you a Deus Ex Machina, and you were just like... That was, like, so unnecessary. What a mean guy. Alright, Tan, can I popcorn to you?
Oh, absolutely. What are you doing? Dragon asked, glaring at Marsh as he took a step outside the open cell. He felt blood sink into his shoes as his foot came down in a puddle. The man called Marsh has continued to look calmly at him, knife still dripping red. A thin smile crossed his lips. I wanted to meet you, he said in that same quiet voice, to know what manner of being you were. Dragon gulped. Name's Dragon Adrian. I'm a cogitant. We done? Can I go? He didn't understand what was happening here, but his situation hadn't actually improved much. He was still bound and sealed with Neverwire after all. If this maniac decided to turn that knife against him too, there wasn't much he could do to stop it. The smile didn't fade. John thought you dead, but he is the hasty sort. Perhaps you are more like us than he anticipates. Another Archon to the new god.
Should it be John's thought you dead?
No, he wanted you. He thought you dead.
He was like looking to kill you. Yeah.
Dragon narrowed his eyes. John? You're with those dead hand guys then? My name is Ian. I took this skin for infiltration purposes, but the time for that is at an end. The false flesh shall be destroyed, and the crusade from this place shall commence. Before that happens, I would know the measure of you. Dragon's eyes flicked to Pan in the corner of the room. She looked visibly worried as she looked at this man called...
Oh, that's right. They have a version of Panacea too, right? Is that like version they're seeing their god? They think that's like their god?
Maybe. The red shade he'd seen when Pan was probing his memories, the one that wanted to destroy everything, was that the new god Ian was talking about? Only one way to know. I don't know what you mean, Dragon lied. Crusade? New god? What the hell are you talking about? Ian sighed, wiping the back of one hand over his temple. Even his body language had changed utterly. Before it became mechanical, purposeful. Now it was filled with delicate grace more suited to a ballerina than a soldier. We came here with foolishness in our hearts, Ian said softly. We pummeled and beat for money and power, as if money ever mattered, as if power was ever real. There was a man agitating the sheep. We slew him, as was our way, and went to dispose of his body in the tunnels. The look on his face changed, a rapturous awe washing over his features. "We went down into the tunnels," he whispered, arms spread wide as he stared up at the ceiling, "and a god reached out and took us." He ran a finger over his arm. "It gave me new skin," he purred. "It gave the others gifts as well. What, I wonder, did it give you?"
I was actually more creeped out by you saying he purred it than like the whole new skin part. It's like, ugh.
Dragon bit his lip as he stared into the eyes of the man across from him. This was a true believer he was looking at. No, a zealot. That knife would be turned on him if he said the wrong thing here. Snip! An invisible blade sliced through his never-wire restraints, and the fear that had settled on Dragon's shoulders lessened somewhat. Seemed North wasn't as much of an asshole as he'd assumed. "So where is it then?" Dragon asked, with the bravado he'd just received. "Or is this god you're so in love with?" For a moment, Dragon thought he'd gone too far. But then Ian just slowly blinked and reached up with one hand. Like he was opening a door, he peeled his own face away. Strands of sinew snapped as they were pulled taut. Dragon felt nausea welling up in his throat as he took in the bloody sight. Behind that sheet of skin, there was only a hollow cavity, like the skull had been mined in. Sat there in the centre, around the size of a clenched fist, was a softly pulsating lump of bright red panacea, like a ball of organic yarn.
Ooh.
"Behold," Ian spoke without a mouth. "Behold the face of God."
That's right, their consciousness was like stored in like neck implants now. They totally took over their brains. So what color is panacea usually?
Orange.
Ooh. That's so gross. It's such a good visual scene. What's the fun fact you're going to follow up with?
The fun facts. John was having his pity party last chapter, I believe, about how he was made to be a common man. He's full of shit because he was still rich as fuck. He just didn't get to be a king.
Yeah, he even mentioned that too, right?
Yeah.
He was like, they wanted us to be happy with our residuals, but I will not be resigned to mediocrity. Dude, you know what? Do you remember when Oingo teamed up with Whole Horse?
Yeah.
We need a prequel skit that's like Samael and John.
Personality-wise, they're not that far apart. Only John is like far more successful and competent.
Yeah, but that would be why it's funny. Because Samael would be like, "I'll buy all the automatics, you make the plans." It needs to happen. Dude, we had whole crazy ideas about, like, we were talking the other day about, like, potential Aetheral space spin-offs, like a Skipper prequel, how good that would be, like, when he was with the Widow and, like, growing up.
Skipper, a Disney Plus series.
Yeah, played by Patrick Warburton. So much potential, bro. Better Call Mr. Fix. Oh, the other one that people really wanted to see was like one, because like people loved Roy, as did I. Like either a series of Roy growing up and with like his family, or like a whole series focused on the Oliphant family. Would have been pretty poggers as well. That's for a spinoff. Yeah, that was it. Anything else?
Nothing I can think of. If I was to like do a spin-off like short story or something, I don't know if I would do it based off an existing character. I would probably want to like do like a new thing in the same universe.
Interesting.
But it is a cool idea, like Fix his rise to power.
Yeah. I would do one about Dragon's dad, because we don't know him. He was like dead or gone by the time Dragon was born. Like, how did that come to be? And then the story, like, you build up the story around him, and then it ends with him like meeting the woman who like we know is Dragon's mom, and it's like, oh shit.
And the whole story, we get like snippets of how he likes to go out and buy milk.
Because Dragon's dad was the cogitant, right?
Yeah.
What was his deal? Did he die or did he just like leave?
It was like a one-night stand, so he just like moved on.
And he was like a supremacy guy or something?
He was like a spacer. He was just like a worker guy.
That's right. That's what it was. That would be interesting, like how different Dragon's dad is from him. He's like the opposite of Redditor. Like, I love beer and football. And I hate raising children.
He looks like exactly like Dragon, but he loves sports.
Yeah, it's just the same. That's why he left, because Dragon wouldn't watch baseball with him, or whatever their baseball equivalent is. That's so funny, dude. Oh, man. But that could be good. Anyway, that's all. Hey, leave down in the comments what spin-off you would like to see.
Yes.
And Tan won't write it, but it will be a fun thought experiment. Okay, bye!
Bye.